one other thing I want to point out here, this is kind of cool, and this is maybe why potential functions are helpful and why it can help speed up learning. Um, Eric Rowora showed that the updates, the series of updates that you get by running Q-learning with some potential function is actually exactly the same as what you'd get by running Q-learning without a potential function, but with the Q function initialized to what the potential function would have been.
So you get the same in the sense that you get the same answer, or you get the same in the sense that it takes the same amount of time?
It goes through the same series of action choices. So it's going to do the same things forever. But yeah, the actual Q functions that you get are different in the two cases.
Okay, so, well, I meant the same thing in terms of policy, which I guess had to be true. So
Yeah, it's not so, but not only does it converge to the same policy, which we knew was true, but it's actually going to have the same policy at every step during learning.
right. So that makes sense. Okay, cool. Oh, sure, because psi is just a constant, really, with respect to any given state.
Right, that's right, which is having an impact, this shift impact on what the Q values are converging toward. Yeah. So
So that's kind of neat.
yeah, it's neat. And it's a cute proof technique as well. So I guess one way of interpreting this is, yeah, potentials are really cool. It's just like initialization. Another way to interpret this is, who needs potentials? You can always get the same effect by Q function initialization.
Well, I think it says something else too. It says that whenever you randomly initialize your Q function, you are in fact asserting a particular potential, which just cannot be the right thing to do.
Wait, so what do you mean by that?
Well, this argues that random, because sometimes, what are you going to do? You got to start out somewhere, so you just randomly initialize Q functions, put random values in every Q function. But that's like saying that, since that's equivalent to having a potential function, you're saying that where you randomly chose to put high values versus low values, you're saying those are places you ought to be, or places you ought to start out trying to be anyway. So that would argue against random initialization.
Because it's going to be, it matters, and so if it matters, why be random? I mean, one reason to be random, even though it matters, is because you don't know. If you always say give it 0, or you always give it plus 1,000 or something like that, you're biasing it as well in a very consistent way that's easy to fake out, right? Like, it's easy to make up an example MDP where that's going to be the wrong thing. Whereas if it's random, yeah, maybe it'll work.
My guess is, though, that if you integrated over all the ones that were wrong versus all the ones that were right for any given random thing, for any given fixed MDP, if you didn't know what it was, that number is going to be big. So I think it argues for you shouldn't be randomly initializing Q functions.
All right. That's not an unreasonable thing to say. I mean, because basically you're injecting knowledge, and you should not inject noise. You should inject knowledge.
Right. Actually, that's exactly right to put it. Knowledge and noise don't both start with N. Only noise does. That feels like a saying. Knowledge and noise both sound the same, but knowledge starts with K, like okay, and noise starts with no, like N-O.
No. I did not know that. Which is the beginning of knowledge. Okay, all right. I fear that we are off track. So what was the punchline of all this was that, well, your punchline was you don't want to randomly initialize your Q functions. My punchline was just that you can actually inject various kinds of knowledge in here, and it could have an impact on learning time. This doesn't actually show that it has an impact, but empirically it often does. There are some results that actually show that if you initialize your Q function optimistically, but not too optimistically, you can actually bound what the learning time is going to be in terms of that. But that's kind of a story for another time. I think at this point we've said what we were going to say about messing with rewards. So maybe we should do a what have we learned?
Okay. I'm a big fan of that.